In cities, business to business matters. Companies and communities matters. And creating an environment for companies and industries to thrive really matters. And today we have an expert that's going to give us some insight in 2026, what to expect in this area. Stay tuned to this episode of The Den.
The Den, powered by the Lions Group, a show that explores trending topics in real estate, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. We're a small team of professionals with over $400 million in sales and nearly 2,000 successful transactions. You're listening to time-tested experts and industry leaders. Here's a refreshing look at real estate happenings and more. Welcome to The Den.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of The Den. And today we have a special guest, the fabulous Mrs. Jamie Church, President and CEO of the Farmington Chamber of Commerce. And she's going to be giving us an outlook on 2026 here in the local area. But before I get to that, let me introduce my friends, my partners, my co-hosts, the fellow members of the Lions Group. To my left, Paul, Hammy the Rockberry, Aspen, the Ninja Gruen, and the boss, Shannon Martin Martinez, is not here with us today. But my name is Ben, Chamber of Secrets Lions. That's a movie, Paul.
I am aware.
Yeah. It's not some secret gym in Hobbs. But, these members, my friends, know all the secrets about me. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay, let's move on. Let's get to something more exciting. The chamber secrets here locally and what we can expect. Jamie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to hear about some of the things that you're passionate about. Obviously, with being the president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, there's a lot that goes into that, and connecting businesses to businesses, businesses to the community, and really creating an environment for industries to thrive here locally. I mean, that's your vein, and that's an anchor for this area. So
I really appreciate being on, because I always welcome the opportunity to share what the Chamber is and what we are not. I have to laugh when you said Chamber of Secrets, though, because I had an intern who was going to San Juan College High School, and she did answer the phone one day and did say, "Thank you for calling the Chamber of Secrets." And we all laughed for so long. She was so embarrassed. I thought it was great.
I love it. I love it.
Anyway, I had to laugh about
I just love saying Harry Potter.
Yeah, Harry Potter. So anyway, yes, thank you. Because the Chamber, we have a lot going on, and probably more than I could even talk about during this podcast. But I do like to make sure people do know who we are and what we do, what is a Chamber of Commerce, and that our chamber here in Farmington, we are not part of the city. A lot of times people will think that we're a program or a department of the city of Farmington, and we are not. We're our own separate nonprofit. We're a 501c6 organization, and we are a separate chamber than the Aztec Chamber of Commerce and the Kirtland Chamber of Commerce and the Bloomfield. And Durango has a chamber. Most municipalities do have a Chamber of Commerce. Some of them also function as their visitor center or their economic development. Here in Farmington, we're very unique that we have a separate organization that's the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We also have Four Corners Economic Development, which is the economic development department for the county. And then we also have Warren Unsicker, who is economic development for the city of Farmington. So not only are we unique in that way that we all have our place, but how well we all work together. And it is not that way in every community. I do a lot of networking with other chambers, not only in the state, but around the country. And I'm surprised at how many times chamber directors are frustrated because they're not communicating well with their elected officials, or they don't have a great relationship with their mayor, or they don't have a great relationship with their Convention and Visitors Bureau. So I think we're very unique and very lucky here.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. And thank you for shedding some light on that, because the continuity of that, the ability to have those conversations with all the key players and everyone being on the same page, I mean, it has to be a big advantage.
It is. Yeah. And the fact that I can reach out to Mayor Duckett, quickly and say, I have a question, or this is going on, or that I do see our city councilors at different events and we have a great relationship, or Tim Gibbs with Four Corners Economic Development, we're in the same building. We're just down the hall. And we made that move in 2020. So the Chamber of Commerce had been located in downtown Farmington at the old downtown center where the original Farmington Library was. we were located in there. And then in 2020, I made the decision along with our board to move to the Quality Center for Business. And it turned out to be a great move because not only is Four Corners Economic Development in that building, but the SBDC, Small Business Development Center, is as well. So we have so much collaboration that just goes on in the hallway. So I'll run into Tim or Carmen and say, hey, we should do this, or why don't you do this, or can we do this? So it just really is a one-stop shop for those businesses who are looking to get their business license. I send them right over to Carmen. And then, we invite them to all the different workshops and the networking. So it's great for businesses who are just trying to launch. And we're all located in the Enterprise Center. So there's the bays, the manufacturing, the office space, and of course, the maker space. So everything is right there. So it's really great for business.
I love the business center. I mean, it really is fantastic. It's a great way to connect you all together, but connect the community, really give some businesses some great starts and some leadership there. I have to imagine that the model that you have created or that is being created there is something that other municipalities will probably look to at some point and say, look at how they're doing it.
And I hope so. Yeah. I mean, in 2019, so I took the job as CEO in January of 2019. And, one of the first things I did was kind of look at our logo and our tagline. And I was just like, there's a lot to be said for history. I'm not saying there isn't. And the chamber's been incorporated since 1953, the Farmington Chamber. So we've been around a while. But we needed to do a little updating. And so one of the things I wanted to do is update our tagline and say, what is it we do? And we connect commerce to community. And what I didn't realize when we switched over and approved that tagline, that through all the different things we're doing, the coffees, the networking, the moving to the business center, was we have built a community. And when I see these people coming to all these events, they are a business community and they're there to support each other. So what happened a year into my job? COVID. Everything changed. I didn't know how I was going to keep the chamber afloat. I actually thought the chamber would probably end under my watch because I didn't know I was going to keep it going at a time when none of us could be together. And so it was a real shift in my thinking. And I realized that community is incredibly important because collaboration and community helps to build resilience.
Yeah. So. Oh my gosh. I love that. I didn't even think about that, how COVID would have impacted the chamber and just being able to connect people all together. I mean, that is your lifeline.
Exactly. Yeah. And we were very event heavy, and we still are. We've come back to that. But I think COVID for the Farmington Chamber, for myself personally, for many other organizations, gave you this forced pause. We all had to pause. And it gave me, as well as my team, time to go, what are we doing that we no longer really need to be doing? What should we be doing? And so we had so much time to think about it, but we made some changes and I think they've all been good. I don't want to go back there, but there were some lessons to be learned. And I didn't really know how I was going to keep the chamber afloat. I think what I was worried about is how are we going to stay relevant? If we're not meeting and doing business after hours and all the coffees and all the things, how are we going to stay relevant? So I had to really think about that and come up with a strategy. You had
a full paradigm shift. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's, I'm glad you're speaking to that. I mean, we had to pivot and shift on the real estate front to a large degree. And it made us rethink like who we are, the relevancy component, how do we operate, and how do we serve the client and the customer the best?
Right.
And through that, which like you said, I wouldn't want to go back. None of us would want to go back to that. But out of that came some great things, some great thought progressions of where we're at today. So kudos to you for taking that and not just, I mean, I could see a lot of people just laying down with the enormity of that and going, I can't, how do we operate? And you just leaned into it and said, we're going to make this work, right?
Well, full disclosure, and this is a story I share. I do some public speaking about different things, and I do share this. So I came into my office and I have a small staff and we'd never worked from home. We didn't know Zoom was new. I think I'd been on one Zoom call and I said, by the end of today, we have to figure out how we're going to run this thing from home because I think it was Wednesday, and the governor always did her Wednesday updates. And I said, I think we're being shut down today. We need to figure this out. By the end of the day, we'd figured it out, how we were going to run it. But I went home, and again, I went down into my basement, and I, for 3 days, laid there and watched The Crown. I binged watched The Crown for 3 days. I was so overwhelmed and depressed.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't know what to do. I have staff. How am I going to keep them paid? All these things. So I binge watched The Crown for like 3 days. And then at the end, I was like, all right, Jamie, what would Queen Elizabeth do? I was like, she would not be hiding down in her basement, waiting for, somebody else to figure it out. You got to get up and you got to figure it out. So at that point, I got up, walked back upstairs, said hi to my husband, because of course he was home too.
Yeah, he was there. Yeah,
he was there. And I was like, all right, we're going to figure this out, and we're going to do it, and we're going to make it work.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
Fantastic.
It was rough at first, for sure.
Well, and it's a testament to you as a leader. And, we all go through that. I think as leaders in our industry, we, sometimes we're just hit with stuff that is like overwhelming, and you just kind of have to compress. And maybe that's what it was, the binge watching.
Yeah.
For me, I've done the same thing. I've just been at home, for several days, trying to absorb and really try to create a new reality. And you came out of that, which is awesome. And that's helped forge where you're today, where you're at today.
Hi, this is Aspen. I'm a partner at the Lions Group. We're dedicated to making your real estate experience the best it can be. If you're looking to buy or sell, go to sjcbroker.com and watch our informational video series. These videos break down the process and shed some light on buying or selling. While you're there, schedule a private consultation with one of our partners. We'd love to sit down, talk strategy, and give you a real advantage in today's market. You deserve the best, so take those steps, and we'll see you soon. Now back to the show.
Let's pivot a little bit to what you're excited about for this local area, some of the things you're working on, and give us some insight there.
Well, I think working with Tim Gibbs with Four Corners Economic Development, I get a lot of insight into what's going on. I know they've done housing studies, and they do a lot of work with site selectors. And so I feel really positive. I think the one piece we need to remember is I'll get a lot of, when a new franchise comes in here, there will sometimes be some pushback of, well, do we really need another coffee shop, or do we really need another
gas
one of these?
station?
Yeah. And we need to remember that is part of economic development. Those businesses do employ people, and it does bring people from outside of our area into our area. And so I think we always need to keep that big picture. It can be very frustrating for chambers of commerce because typically larger franchises don't always join the chamber. So they have a whole other sort of marketing and publicity, and they don't always join the local chambers. So that can be a little frustrating, but we also, I think, need to remember it is economic growth, and it does bring people in to either shop. We know we're the retail hub for the area. So they come in, they shop, they see the area. Hopefully they might want to move to the area. So I think you have to look at it, again, in the big picture. And so I do need to do that too, because sometimes it can be hard when another big franchise comes in. They don't always want to engage with us or join the chamber. So, but again, just trying to keep that big picture and realize we are the place that people come in. I think they estimate our weekend population increases to 100,000 or 200,000 just from people coming in and shopping.
Yeah, we swell on the weekends quite a bit. I mean, it's noticeable for sure. And so what you're saying is some of the bigger corporations, they kind of circle the area. They have their own network.
They do.
And then when they decide that they want to plant a store, they just go ahead and make it happen.
Right.
They don't need us peons. Right.
Well, I think they do, but they also, again, they have their own marketing strategy. They have their own, when I see people upset that we don't get a certain type of business here, there's, they're looking, they have their parameters, they have their population, parameters they need to look at, how many people live there, so they've got their own thing going on. But if you want to see a certain type of business here, then by all means, we want to help you get that business started. So there's a lot of resources here. And we constantly talk about at the chamber, shopping local, supporting local business. And we've been doing a lot of collaboration with the other chambers too, which has been great. We always go to Santa Fe for the legislative session, and we invite Kirtland and Aztec and Bloomfield to go with us. So this year, Aztec came along, and they have a new part-time executive director, and she kind of learned the ropes on what's going on in Santa Fe. So that's great to see collaboration with all the chambers. So it's very regional. And I do a lot of conversations with Durango's chamber as well. So that whole idea of it's not just Farmington. We're a regional economy. We're in a regional environment, and we need to collaborate and have relationships with all these different, in my world, chambers. But we do need to work on those regional collaborations.
I agree. I wholly agree with that. I mean, I believe in the collaboration component, and I love our sister cities up in Durango and Pagosa and all that jazz, in the sense that they're a very different flavor than we are. But that doesn't mean we can't complement each other in the Four Corners region.
Exactly.
And so that's the stance I take, is let's do this together. What can we do to help this Four Corners region? And when we have executives coming to town, or people moving to this area, family moving to the area, we don't just talk about Farmington.
Right.
We talk about the region, and we become ambassadors to a large degree of, what are all the amenities that we enjoy, here locally, and how can businesses, improve upon that, or be a part of that, or be connected with the community. And it's really a big part of what we do day to day as realtors.
Right.
As well.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
It's pretty exciting. So are you excited about the growth that we're seeing, or?
Yes.
Or what are some of the challenges you see, Jamie? Let's go that route.
Housing has been a challenge, and we know that. Again, I'm on the board of directors for Four Corners Economic Development, and we know that housing is an issue. Just the amount of housing, affordable housing, 6% private land is what we have to develop, and so that's not very much. And so when you're looking at housing, either selling what's in the inventory or starting new housing developments, there's always some challenges there. And we know that, but we also know, because I attend an economic summit every fall put on by La Plata Economic Alliance. They have a whole other issue going on up there with affordable housing. They really struggle. So we're seeing Aztec and Farmington pick up some of that. I'm amazed how many people are commuting back and forth every day between Farmington, Durango, Farmington. It's a huge number. And then, so they've got their own challenges with bringing in economic development up, in Durango, in those areas, because of affordable housing. So where are people going to live? So that's one of the challenges, but I think growth is good. I mean, I think as long as it's growth with a purpose and a strategy, it's great. But again, we want to see our young professionals stay here. We want to see those 30s and 40-year-olds stay in our community. Our oldest son is living in Denver and getting a second degree, and we're hopeful maybe he might come, return to Farmington.
Yeah.
So we'd love to see that growth so that we can keep our young professionals, our youth. It's good to go away, go to college, get some experience. We hope they'll return here, and that there will be something here for them. So yes, growth is good.
Yeah. Yeah. For a long time, the number one export of New Mexico was our kids.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
And Aspen does a lot up in Durango. She sells a lot up there. You practically live up there half the time.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm the daily driver.
Yeah.
Sure.
Are you seeing the same types of things that Jamie is describing there?
Yes, definitely. Almost everything, I think I've mentioned this in other podcasts, almost everything I've sold in Aztec has been people that are working in Durango that are commuting every day, because it's really not that bad of a drive. It's about 30 minutes. And it's just so much more affordable to live here. I love the local aspects, and I really do try and shop local as much as possible, because I think that whenever we're supporting local there, and I actually kind of wanted to go back to the COVID section too, because I think it's really interesting that was because to me, I'm like, that's the time when the chamber was like needed, because all of these small businesses that aren't franchises all of a sudden are having to close their doors and operate in a completely different way. And I think the chamber was a really good stepping stone of, here's how we're going to do that. Here's how we're still going to connect the commerce to the community. And I think that really showed the importance of a good chamber of commerce. And I'm involved with the chamber in Durango as well. But I feel like you have just really, and I didn't realize you only started in 2019 too, because that's whenever I got licensed in real estate.
Okay.
And they sent me right over to Jamie they were like, go sign up for the chamber. I was like, I don't know what that is, but okay. Sounds good. And it's true. Like I started going to the business after hours and you start meeting people that can really influence your day to day.
Well, and when COVID, again, we had to really think about what is it we do? How do we stay relevant? So at that time, I thought what we can do is promote shopping local in whatever way you can, whether it's website or, pick up, share reliable and true information. Because at the time, there was so much going on social media, so much anger, frustration, and rightly so. People were losing their businesses. Everything was shifting. And so people were frustrated and there was a lot of misinformation. So I thought, well, the chamber could be a conduit of reliable information. So I started sharing posts directly from San Juan Regional or directly from the New Mexico Economic Development Department. Rob Black was running it at that time. So I shared information right from there, from San Juan County Emergency Management, City of Farmington. So I decided we could be a conduit of what was really happening and then share how we could help support local business. And so we kind of took that shift of that would be our role at that time. And then as things changed and things opened up and then shut down and then opened up and shut down, we were hopefully trying to become a place where people could come to find out what was really going on. So
became the source of the information or the source of this,
right?
The reliable source, I should say, of the information, which was good.
And tried to stay out of the drama. Of the whole mask stuff. I mean, it was crazy when you think back at how crazy it really was. But it is where we, as the chamber, started to feel like, what is our role? And there are chambers that did not survive COVID. They were smaller chambers. They didn't have a lot of things in place to get through that. How would you? Because we didn't expect it to happen. But there are chambers that did end up closing their doors during that time. We ended up growing. We actually gained members during that time. And again, I think it's because of what we were doing to just promote local and make sure we were a trusted source of information.
And carried that through to today as well.
So,
kind of the same practices with it. And I think it's really, I had no idea what a chamber was whenever I first was told to go talk to Jamie over at the old library. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And it is actually pretty, and it's surprising to me that you say other places aren't as cohesive with like the mayor or the economic development, because to me, I'm like, man, if you want to get stuff done, you go to the chamber, one of the chamber networking events, and that's where you can talk to everybody that you need to talk to because they'll be there. So I'm a huge advocate for the chamber here. And it's very surprising to me to hear that other places aren't like that, because to me, I'm like, that's the source you go to. You don't go to the city, you go to the chamber.
Right. I think it's interesting. I think it's my sort of sense of you've got to collaborate and partner. I think sometimes in other communities, people feel threatened. Like if I share my information with you, are people going to still see value in what I do? You know what I mean? There's a threat sense there, and I don't think we have that.
No.
So I think there's much more of it to our benefit to share information and to collaborate. I mean, it's great that Tim and I talk as much as I do. That's how I learn what I've got going on. That's how he finds out what's going on. So I'm a big believer in that. But I do think sometimes in communities, there can just be a lot of just undercurrent of, I don't want to share my information with you. I want it to be mine, and I want this to be mine. So I think we're just really lucky that we live in the community that we do, and the size of the community, but also just all those conversations and sharing of information.
Farmington, I do feel, is an Aztec as well. I can't really speak to the other cities, but I'm sure they're similar. But it really is a community-focused place to live. I've never been somewhere where, because I'm in Durango as much as I'm down here, if not more. And I will say the community down here, I go in somewhere, I know people everywhere. I'm talking to people in every store. You see people are watching your kids all the time. I have 100 people I could call if I needed something. And I think Farmington and again, Aztec, I know just because I've lived there, is very unique in that sense, because I do not think a lot of communities are as community focused as we are here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of my, I would say probably the favorite thing about living in Farmington is the people that, I mean, you really can have anybody rally around you. And I think that's the same for businesses. Whenever someone opens a new business, I do feel like the community really supports them. I do think that there maybe not quite as many resources to keep going. Is there anything that you've been seeing to like keep the businesses going after the first initial boom?
So I think that when you own a business, it can be overwhelming. So exactly what you said, you join the chamber, we do this big ribbon cutting and everybody's there and everyone's excited. And then as time goes on, so we do monthly business builder workshops with the SBDC. So Carmen and I sit down and plan out the year's schedule on what topics we're going to cover every month. And these workshops, I know right now we're in tax season, so they're kind of focusing on your small business taxes. So those are always free. So they are once a month, sometimes twice a month. You need to register through the SBDC, but they're free and they're really good workshops. Take place over the lunch hour and great information. Then we try to share information too as it comes across, especially now in the legislative session. We've been sharing proposed legislation that we feel impacts business. And then we are trying to do a better job at the chamber of making sure that we're sharing relevant articles, different things to help businesses. And then we do have 2 leads and referrals groups that happen every week, one on Tuesday morning, one on Wednesday morning. So those are for businesses that want to take that next step into very intentional networking. So in the Tuesday morning group, there's one insurance company, one realtor, one landscaping company. And so there's dues, the yearly dues to belong to that, but it kind of takes their leads and referrals process to that next level. And it's amazing the amount of business that those groups are closing every year. So that's, come to our networking events. The hardest thing for me as the chamber CEO is when a business joins and a year later doesn't renew. And I'll ask them why. And they say, well, I didn't get anything out of it. And I'll say, did you come to one of our Focus on Farmington coffees? No. Did you come to one of our business builder workshops? No. Did you come to one of our business after hours? No. And that's so hard because our community does business based on face-to-face relationships. Like Aspen was saying, you come to things over and over, people start to know you, recognize you. They're ready to make a referral because they've gotten to know you. So I always tell people we are not a marketing agency. That is not what we do. We support, we connect, we advocate for your business, for the business community. We are not a marketing agency. I've got 5 great chamber members that are, and I'll send you their way, but that is not what we do. Yeah. So, and that's hard. My dad was a business owner in Durango. It is not easy to be a business owner.
Yeah, you get starry eyes and you think, oh, being an entrepreneur is going to be wonderful. And, it's just, and then reality, hits you sometimes. Right. But I love the fact that you create the opportunity for businesses to show up because, like you said, you get out of it what you put into it.
Right.
I mean, if they're showing up and doing the things that they should be doing to really grow their business, all of that is there. You've paved the way for these businesses to be involved, to be connected. And I do think that's a unique part of this community in this area. And even in real estate, we're almost open books. Mm-hmm. Any new realtor or young realtor, or even a seasoned realtor that wants to sit down and have a conversation with like, how should I approach this or what should I do? I think everyone here in our group is, open arms. Come talk with us. We want to see success across the board. We want to see professionalism rise across the industry. And that's just really unique in this area. And I love that that's been fostered and grown.
Well, I didn't realize how unique we were. There's a couple people that come to some of the leads groups that have moved here recently and have been involved with other chambers. And they'll say, we can't believe what your chamber does, how much it does, and how much of it's free. And I guess I've lived here for most of our business professional life. My husband and I were, almost 35 years, I think so. But
we'd consider you a local.
A local. Well, so when I hear that we're unusual in what we do with our chamber,
Mhm.
it's interesting to me. And that we invite everybody to the table. And most of what we do, not all, but most is free or very, very low cost. So the resources are there for the businesses. But again, it's letting them know beyond the ribbon cutting, you have to get involved with us because that's how we get to know you. And I agree 100% with Aspen. This community is so supportive. We're very connected with our nonprofit community as well. Most of them are chamber members. And I have never seen a community where every single nonprofit event is supported in the way they are. So it's pretty amazing.
It's pretty fantastic. We're winding down. We only have a few more minutes left.
Wow.
I know, isn't that
It's amazing.
It goes by so quick. Paul, do you have any questions for Jamie that have been burning?
I don't want to bring this conversation down. It's been pretty good. I will say I was just thinking about, I went through Leadership San Juan in like 2014, and we talk about the collaboration that the city is doing. It wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
So back then I got out of Leadership San Juan that we are siloed in a lot of the things we do. And we have different groups competing for, money, grants, those types of things, services. At the time we had like 5 different substance abuse,
right.
Those types of things.
Right.
Everybody competing for the same services. And now seeing that we are so collaborative is really great because I'll attest to it. It didn't used to be like that.
Yeah. And I knew coming in, there had been some of that, sort of that siloed. Again, I don't want to share my information. I'm going to do this. I came out of the nonprofit world. So prior to my chamber job, I was the development director for the Child Haven Foundation. So I came from a very well-respected and loved nonprofit here in Farmington and learned a lot about how the nonprofits and the grant process and duplication of services, if you've got something that you're doing that's fantastic and somebody else is going to say, well, I'm going to do that exact same thing. In the business world, we're used to that because that's part of, living in a capitalist society, competition, things like that. In the nonprofit world, when you are fighting for grant money and donors and things like that, there doesn't necessarily need to be duplication of services, but how can you work together to serve the same population? What's your mission? How can you collaborate together and work together so that those grant funds can be used in a wider range? So I kind of came from that environment into the chamber. And I had been on the board of the chamber for a number of years. As I mentioned, my dad owned a small local business in Durango. So I had a lot of strong feelings about how we need to advocate for our business community and how we could do that and make it as easy for businesses to access the information that they need in order to be successful. When a business closes, I take it personally. I shouldn't, but I do. And it's hard. It's like, should I have done more? Should I have shared more on social media? Should I have gone in and purchased more? Whatever. But I tend to take it personally when a business closes its doors. So anyway.
That speaks to your heart, Jamie. I mean, it really does. And just wrapping up this segment, I'm just so impressed with what you have done with the chamber, the foundation that you have laid, the collaboration that you have brought to this community, that every business that is in this area should be using the resources that are there for them to grow and be sustained, to Aspen's point.
Closed mouth doesn't get fed. You have to to go to things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
You do need to. Yeah. And use the resources that are there. Use Carmen and her team at the SBDC. They will help you write a business plan. That's I asked Carmen one day, why do so many businesses fail? And she said, most of them have not come up with a business plan. They're going to open their doors and put it out on Facebook and their friends and family. That only is going to get you so far. So what resources do you have? Are you aware of what you need to do for, your taxes? Do you have accounting software? There's so many resources that are out there. And it's almost like you follow these steps. I can't guarantee success, but I think you have a better chance of success for sure.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I love Carmen, by the way.
Yes, she's
an OG small business development center person there. So she's certainly an expert. And you have if you are a business owner or you're in business in the Four Corners area or in San Juan County, you should be using these tools, using this system that's been set up for you, using all the resources there. This community, can't be stated enough, is here to support and help all businesses, because we do want a thriving area, a great area for the future. And that starts with building it today. So the fabulous. This is Jamie Church. Thank you.
Fabulous,
yes, very much so. You absolutely deserve that name. Thank you for coming and shedding some light on what the chamber does here locally and all the resources. We're going to put Jamie's information in the show notes and contact information, some of the resources that you have at your fingertips. So thank you. This is a fantastic conversation. I appreciate you coming in and joining us. And thank you for listening to this episode of The Den. If you like our content, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can go to our Facebook page. We have a great newsletter that's sent out every week. We have all kinds of great information, relevant information. Of course, you can go to sjcbroker.com, schedule a private consultation for any member of the Lions Group, and get a one-on-one personal consultation in today's market to give you an advantage. So thank you for listening to this episode of The Den. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Den, powered by the Lions Group. Hit the subscribe button to keep informed, and check the show notes below for direct links to our buyer and seller video series. The buyer and seller video series can give you an inside track on taking the right steps in real estate. If you'd like to learn more about the Lions Group or to schedule a consultation, go to sjcbroker.com. Complex markets require complex strategies. The Lions Group can give you a true advantage in any market. Whether you're buying or selling, residential or commercial, contact us directly at sjcbroker.com. We're time-tested experts with a client-first approach, and we'll see you next time in The Den.